So the second case study is dealing with Rital, a leading supplier of control cabinets and process control systems. So they're dealing with smart industry, Industry 4.0. So Rital actually is not selling just a product in the physical world, control cabinets, but are also supplying services and elements of the digital world. And to showcase what they're doing and how this is actually protected, we look at this view, which is showing the business model and the elements of the product that Rital is supplying, the physical product in the physical world, but also then elements here in the digital world. So the physical product is the control cabinet. So that's the classical product. On top of that now comes the digital world view. That's first the layer of the sensors and actuators. So that's actually generating the interoperability, and on top of that is then the connectivity layer that generates the network connectivity. Out of that, data is generated, and this data can then be analyzed. So there's an element, a fourth layer, which is analytics, and this all is then leading to the fifth layer, the digital service layer. So that could be condition monitoring, preemptive maintenance, all these aspects that Rital is then supplying on top of the physical product. So all this is considered then as a digital ecosystem. So let's now look at the IP side of things. So how is Rital protecting this? What they're trying to do is, and what they're obviously achieving, is that they are preventing competitors from having an offer to the customer that has the same capabilities, that has the same benefit, the same customer benefit as what Rital is offering. So this is the market side, and they are protecting then this customer benefit versus the competitors. So how is Rital now so successful? How are they succeeding? We're, for that view, looking actually at the resource side and how they are converting resources into rents. So a key concept here is the concept of RIN resources. RIN is an abbreviation standing for valuable, rare, imperfectly imitable, and non-substitutable, which means these are the key resources that they can offer that provide a customer benefit or an advantage to Rital that others cannot offer. So what are now these resources that they are having? I mean, they are embedded in a corporate structure with other companies. So they have a company, MIPLM, that is providing a platform technology, which is then an enabling technology that everything from the pre-planning to the production, everything is later covered through this platform technology. They have another company, Sejin, which is providing the interface between the different systems. So interfaces are key, and having here this covered is an important element. And finally, it's Rital themselves through modular cabinet systems, covering all different aspects like power, like cooling systems that are relevant for the customer benefit. So we just looked at the resources now. On top of that, not just statically, these resources are important, but in a changing environment like digital transformation, also the dynamic capabilities are important. This means that how the capabilities that define, that describe how a company is responding to the change. And here three elements are important. First, the company needs to realize these change. They need to identify something is changing in the market, and here Rital has shown that they are really reacting to this topic of digital transformation and being actually an early mover in this topic. Then it's the ability to learn faster than competitors, and also here they have an advantage through the sister companies. They can go for co-creation with their sister companies and develop then an entire value chain. And finally, it's about the realization, the implementation of changes and of flexibly reacting to these changes. And also here, for example, through organizational measures or reorganization of process with regards to IP, they have proven that they are doing this in a very efficient way.
Now you have to see how they decided to go to the digitalization, and so we can see their decision process. So first of all, they have to see what's the industry is going on. So this we call the exogenous factors. So there's a digital transformation is in, and then efficiency requirement in the market, all the outside of the company they have to consider, and then maybe they collect all the informations, and then this goes to the subject systems, which one is is based on their strategy, and then the strategy reflect to the objective as well. So this information is processing under their business strategy and digital business model and early mover advantage. This one is also considering because they have the industry. There is some company to already goes to the digital transformation, so they can have some early mover advantage or not. And then this goes to the decision process. So they will decide this digitalization is fit into their strategy or not. So they decide and then they implement it to the digitalization. So we see the next one. Ingo already explained about this. So now we have to focus on this side. I'm so nervous now, sorry. So now we have to focus on this side because it's the digitalization. We already know the sisters companies. So that means Vitar have to monitor all the IPs about the sisters company as well. So this is a huge work. So this because the digitalization means the technology complexity is more higher. So this is a little bit difficult, but they have to do. Also, that means freedom to operate is also difficult because so that means they have to keep monitoring what is going on the IP. So this is my presentation.
We heard about the risks, and we have a look at the opportunities, and therefore we assess the radicalness of the innovation. And with this new implementation of the smart factory and the process to actually build a customized cabinet on large scale for every single customer, we come to the conclusion that it's a radical innovation. First of all, for the process, because the whole digital process in order to arrive at the cabinet in an automated factory has not been done before and was not possible, and as having said, leads to huge market impact. Furthermore, due to the digital modeling of the final cabinet, we are creating new business concepts and going up in the value chain. So also on the business side, there is a radical improvement from this innovation.
Once the retail embrace this digital transformation, one of the main aspects they should focus is about IP design, especially IP design for this digital business model. How IP design is done? Here we see the approach with the AEOU method. The AEOU method, as you know, is based on a cognitive walkthrough and the decomposition of the environment in the IP topics on environment, activity, interaction, object, and users. In this case, since we are in digital business model, we have a slight difference between the classical AEOI. It's the difference between activity in the process, so in the physical world, and the activity in the virtual world, which are completely different. Here we are in an ecosystem, we have the production line, so how the cabinet is created, how the physical objects are created, but we have also the interaction with the digital world. Well, the platform and the digital services allows this interaction between these two. And this is how in the retail case, the IP design is more efficient, because if we have to focus here on the interaction on this part to identify IP, which is critical for their next IP generation.
I'd like to take a look at the organizational structure and how it is implemented. So there is a choice between the functional structure and the divisional structure, and for the retail company, it is a divisional structure is selected, and we see the three companies of the group. The retail company who is focusing on the cabinets, the MIPLM who is focusing on data, and then you have the Tassignon company who is then the interface between the cabinet and the data. And so the advantage of this divisional structure, or at least the difference between the functional structure and the divisional structure, is that in the divisional structure you focus on the products, and the products have each division, for a finance division, a marketing division, a manufacturing and an R&D division, in contrast to a functional architecture which has only the different divisions which are supervised by the president. Now, an advantage of this divisional structure is that within each company, so within each product, the R&D can specifically focus on the technology for this specific product. So it is easy, so you have a concentration of competencies and a very focused R&D for the specific product. It is also easier to track the performance of the actors within each structure of the company. And now a disadvantage of this divisional structure is that because you split up the company in, or where you focus on products, there may be an issue with the coordination of the different divisions, which increases transaction cost, because you have to exchange information between the different divisions. Another challenge that comes up is the motivation of the value creation partners to participate in a solution for the customer. So in the end, you want to present an end product to the consumer, and an issue with having a divisional structure is that all the actors have to work together to bring the product to the customer.
Now that we have seen the general IP design and the organizational structure, we have to ask ourselves in which direction the portfolio should go from retail in view of this digital business. And this is a sole consequence of what we established and worked out. So it is clear that we have to go away from the visible physical product features towards the digital business model. Of course, one reason is we are talking about the batch size of one. We don't want to protect a single product for a single customer. That wouldn't lead us anywhere. And of course, we have to stronger lay our focus to the connection of the physical world with the digital world, and especially here our virtual twin that is a duplication of all these hardware components. Last, when we want to drive this initiative, so we want to establish and implement this digital business model into our value chain in control cabinet manufacturing. There are a lot of reasons to do this, a lot of driving forces, positive forces for change, and there are also restraining forces and obstacles on our road on establishing this. A way to get an overview is the force field analysis, where we get aware of these forces. Maybe the driving forces are more in our minds that we want to drive and establish a new business model than the restraining forces. So it is a good thing to first get aware of these forces, and then we can remove them. Of course, we heard some advantages before, according to time savings in the assembly, in the manufacturing, the simplification of the assembly, a higher energy efficiency, and also enabling consumers to handle complexity. But on the other hand, there are strong arguments against this. Not only the training effort for the own sales staff or for the stakeholders, but also the market acceptance risk, which may lead to a failure, or a potential harm to stakeholders' business models, or even high investment costs. So as soon as you are aware of all these forces and how strong they are, you can take countermeasures. Thank you.